The song on the radio. Posted by Case by Case. I loved being on the road. The car windows rolled down, the breeze blowing through my hair, music blasting through the speakers. Ryan was at the wheel, so I was free to lean back in my seat and let my mind wander. I thought back to the last conversation I'd had with Pepper. "We're not giving up on you, Casey." I could picture her on the other end of the phone, cropped blonde hair, sunny smile. Her southern accent sounded so warm, so comforting. A lump formed in my throat. But why can't I come back? "It's not safe," Pepper said again. "For you or for me?" I was petulant now. "Well, both, if I'm being honest. Just keep moving. It's the best thing for you and for anyone around you. We'll keep in touch and try to figure out how to help you. In the meantime, just stay safe." She waited for me to reply, but I didn't think I could speak without crying. I'd really grown to like Pepper over the past few days. She felt almost like an older sister to me. More importantly, I felt safe knowing I was in the presence of experts. Now, Ryan and I were on our own again. I sniffed back tears. "Oh, honey," Pepper said. "You can call me anytime, even if you just need to hear a friendly voice." "I have to go now," I said as I choked back a sob. "Promise me you won't go looking for trouble." I hung up. Ryan put his arm around me, and I leaned into his chest, releasing the full force of my tears. "You won't feel this way forever," I told myself. "Just let it all out, then pick yourself up and move on." And I did. The next few days felt just like old times, when Ryan and I had taken our trip at the end of the summer. Well, before the craziness started, our days were spent speeding down highways, our directions based on whim. Nights were spent in seedy motel rooms, financed by our now unneeded tuition for the next semester. I tried not to think of how long that would last us. It was dwindling fast, especially because I'd left most of my belongings back at school and had to buy new things. My roommate, Raina, thought I was at home, and my parents thought I'd gone back to school. I actually felt good as I reclined in the passenger seat. It was easy to forget why we'd been forced into this nomadic lifestyle. I glanced over at Ryan and he grinned at me. I felt warm and happy. We're going to be just fine. One of my favorite songs was playing on the radio and I hummed along. The song wound to an end and I listened for the next one, hoping I'd recognize it. Instead, I heard a shrill hiss, like a crackle of static, followed by a grating sound. I thought the speakers had cut out, or maybe we'd gone out of range of the radio station, until I heard the singing. "Kill you, rip you, shred you, into pieces, pieces, little pieces." I thought it was a man singing or chanting, but the voice was so high and raspy, I wasn't quite sure. So depressing, I thought. What are people listening to these days? The lyrics continued, an endless stream of murderous thoughts. I really didn't need to hear that, not. When I'd finally been feeling happy again, I turned to dial to a news station. I bobbed my head to the generic but catchy beat of a pop song and asked Ryan, "Where are we headed?" "Nowhere in particular at the moment. I've just been heading west for a while." "Why west?" "No reason. I just picked a direction." "Want to pick a new one?" "I hear north is good," he joked. "Or go crazy, pick east. We'll end up back where we started." As we talked, I only half paid attention to the radio, but I still caught this snippet from the DJ. Next up we have up-and-coming band Seven Cities, with their hit song, Lullaby. I heard that hiss again, and the grating. Then the song began, Kill you, kill you. My scalp tingled. What a disturbing song. How did it get so popular? Why would they play this? I griped aloud and reached to switch the station again. "I kinda like it," Ryan said. I looked at him incredulously. I halted, my hand resting lightly on the dial. Seriously? You're into this kind of music? What? It's catchy. It's anything but catchy. The lyrics are so twisted, it makes my head hurt. Ryan paused, then said, "Wait, what?" "I don't want to hear a song about torturing someone and ripping them apart." "Case, what are you talking about?" "Huh." I was confused. "What do you mean? Don't you hear?" Then the realization hit me, like ice seeping through my veins. I gasped. "Oh, holy crap. You don't hear it, do you?" Ryan's eyes flickered between me and the road, his face a mask of worry and curiosity. He waited for me to continue, and I told him what I heard over the radio, the raspy voice singing of death. To Ryan, however, it sounded like a regular rock song, and a good one according to him. The song ended after a few minutes, and the DJ announced, "If you liked that song, you can win tickets to see Seven Cities live in concert tomorrow night. The 10th caller wins, starting now." Ryan fumbled in his pocket, trying to pull out his phone. "What are you doing? You're not going to call in, are you? Pepper said not to go looking for trouble." He finally succeeded in freeing his phone, but I snatched it from his hands before he could make the call. He glared at me. "Eyes on the road," I said icily, as I held the phone hostage. "We're not looking for trouble, it's already found us," he said. "Let's figure out what's going on. Maybe we can solve it before it gets worse." I was hardly listening. The DJ had just said where the concert would be. That's near Sam. I hadn't realized we were so close. It had been months since I'd seen my 13-year-old brother, and I felt a sudden pang, similar to homesickness. I could go see Sam. Ryan could investigate this song further. "This is such a terrible idea," I said as I dialed the phone. I knew I would be the 10th caller. When it came to the supernatural, nothing would keep me from getting closer, whether I wanted to or not. It was like a magnetic pull. The phone connected, and I heard, "Congratulations. You've just won 2 tickets to 7 cities." I almost forgot to feign enthusiasm. "Oh, thanks, that's awesome." I rolled my eyes at Ryan as the voice on the other end asked for my information. "You get your way this time." I debated whether or not to call Sam. It would be smart to wait until after the concert, in case we ran into any danger. I didn't want to call Pepper or Calvin either. Despite their offer of help, I still felt like they'd abandoned me. I wanted to prove that we could handle this on our own. Finally, I decided to text Sam that I might be in the area later and would love to see him if I could. Luckily, it wasn't too long a drive to get near the concert venue, and we found a motel right down the street. After a fitful sleep, we spent the next day listening to Lullaby over and over, trying to get a sense of the lyrics only I could hear. Kill you, rip you, shred you. After what must have been the 50th time listening to the song through my tinny phone speakers, I turned it off. Neither Ryan nor I were any closer to making sense of the song, but nevertheless it was time to get ready for the show. I'd always enjoyed going to concerts, but this time was different. I was on edge, my nerves singing, my heart pounding. Outside the venue, I gave my name at the box office window, and sure enough, the radio station had left 2 tickets under my name. I'd secretly been hoping they'd forgotten, or put the wrong name down. Instead, I collected the tickets and we walked inside. We'd arrived shortly after the doors opened, so the room was pretty packed already. It was all standing room, so we hung back, away from the crowd jostling to get to the front. The lights dimmed and a local rock band took the stage, playing a half-hour set before 7 Cities went on. The support band was loud and disorganized, but enthusiastic. I found myself nodding my head, tapping my foot to the beat and letting the anxiety slowly wash away. Before I knew it, it was time for Seven Cities to play. My apprehension flared up again, and I gritted my teeth, waiting for the music to start. The band walked out on stage to a deafening roar of applause, and the dark-haired, handsome singer took the mic. With the strike of a single chord, the show began. It was good. Up until now, I'd only heard the raspy chanting masking their actual music, and I had no idea what the band sounded like. But now live, I could hear the songs just fine. The beats were good, the singing even better, and soon I found myself dancing happily in the back of the room. Ryan too had a huge smile on his face, and he took me by the hand and twirled me before pulling me, laughing, into his arms. For that brief time, we were just two kids out on a date, without a care in the world. But that moment could only last so long before reality brought us back. The band finished up their set and walked off stage, though the lights stayed low and the cheering grew louder in anticipation of an encore. The crowd picked up a chant, "Lullaby, lullaby, lullaby." The band had saved their best for last and would now return to the stage to play that haunted, tortured song. I gripped Ryan's hand, my knuckles turning white as my nails dug into his skin. The song began, and I was surprised that I could hear the actual melody and lyrics. But in no time at all, I picked up on the too familiar grating sound and those words, almost hidden by the music, kill you, rip you, shred you. The words echoed through the room, but I was certain no one else heard them, except for maybe one other person. Was it just me, or did the lead singer look uncomfortable? His face was white, and he was gripping the microphone just as tightly as I held Ryan's hand. A girl knocked into me as she pushed her way out of the room, dragging her friend behind her. "Hurry," she said to her friend as they passed. "We need to catch them at the stage door for a picture." "Come on," Ryan said, and we followed the girls outside and around the corner. There was already a small crowd waiting, but we pushed right up front to the barricade. It took a while for the band to exit the building, but eventually there they were, walking out the door. The band members, the lead singer especially, greeted the fans, signed posters, and even snapped a few photos as they made their way to the tour bus. They were going fairly quickly, however, and I was worried I'd miss my chance to get their attention. We'd looked up the names of each member of the group earlier, so I shouted, "James," as the singer approached. James glanced up and smiled the same smile he'd given to all of his fans and said, "Thanks for coming to the show." He continued on. That was no good. They were going to leave, and we'd never figure out what was going on. I racked my brain, trying to figure out how to convince him to hear me out. I had an idea, but it was a crazy one. I blurted out, kill you, rip you, shred you." My voice faltered as I gauged the reactions around me. The girls surrounding me fell dead silent, aside from a few awkward giggles. Two nearby security guards snapped their heads toward me. One took a step forward. But I was focused on the singer, James, his face drained of all color and his eyes locked on mine. His jaw dropped, and it was a few seconds before he spoke. In the meantime, the security guard was advancing towards me. "Stop," James said to the guard. "No, wait, bring her here." He gestured to the guard to help lift me over the barricade, and soon James and I were standing side by side. He grabbed my arm, hard, and led me past the crowd, no longer stopping to chat with fans. James dragged me onto the bus. It was too late now to pull Ryan out of the crowd. I'd have to meet up with him later. James led me to the back of the tour bus, out of earshot of his bewildered bandmates who'd rushed onto the bus behind us. The inside of bus was fairly untidy, Clothes and food wrappers lay strewn over some cramped-looking bunks. James sat down on one of the bunks and put his head in his hands. "Where did you hear that?" he asked, his voice muffled. In your song, Lullaby. I heard it on the radio, but it was just a voice saying." He cut me off. I know what it was saying. I've been hearing that voice ever since we recorded that song. I thought it was just me. Maybe I was going crazy, but you heard it too. How? It's a long story. I began, but at that moment the bus started pulling away. "Wait, where are we going?" "My boyfriend's back there. I can't leave." James shook his head. "We're not going far, just getting out of this parking lot." I called Ryan to tell him where to meet us, and then sat down beside James. "Tell me about the voice." James sighed. "Like I said, it started when we recorded the song, Lullaby. It wasn't so bad at first. I just thought I could hear a faint whispering sometimes, especially at night when I was falling asleep. Then, it got louder and more frequent. It said terrible things, that it wanted to kill me and cut me up into little pieces. I tried to ignore it, hoping it would go away. After all, it's just noise. Then, just a couple nights ago, this happened. He pulled up his shirt partway, and I saw several long, intersecting gashes on his stomach. I woke up in pain, and I saw those cuts. I have no idea how it happened. There was no one on the bus but me and the guys, and they were all sound asleep. I'm not sure if this is important, but I have scars from when something similar happened to me as a baby. My aunt told me they found me in my crib bleeding, with cuts all over me. My mom never told me that though. I don't think she wanted me to know. I thought for a minute. What makes Lullaby different from your other songs? I'm not sure, he mused. Usually Marco writes the melodies, but I helped out with this one. Do you think that's significant? It could be. How did you come up with the tune? Actually, it came from a song my mom used to sing to me when I was younger, every night before I went to sleep. All my life it's been stuck in my head. I even hum it to myself as I lay in bed at night. Well, I used to. When I decided to use the lullaby in our song, Marco changed the melody up a bit to make it a little catchier, faster. Ever since then, the new version has been stuck in my head. I hum that now, instead of the old version. Where did that song come from? The one your mom used to sing? I don't know. I don't even know if I could find out. She's in a nursing home now, and her memory is slipping. I think you need to try. It must be connected, if you started hearing the voice after the song changed. James shook his head, not in disagreement, but in bewilderment. He looked like a lost child. Can you come with me? I was confused. Wait now. How far is it? This is my hometown. It's the last stop on the tour. The nursing home's not far. Please come with me. I reluctantly agreed. It was too late at night to go right then, however, so I finally met up with Ryan and we headed back to the motel. James would meet us in the morning. I turned his words over in my mind, again and again. All I knew for sure was that something was after James, and it wanted to harm him. I awoke to a knock on the door. The sun was streaming through the blinds, and I realized Ryan and I had both slept through our alarms. I unwrapped myself from Ryan's arms and opened the door. James was standing there, his hands clutched around his chest. His shirt was bloody, and I could see more gashes on his forearms. I wordlessly ushered him inside. Ryan and I helped patch him up, and Ryan offered James one of his shirts. James' explanation was no different than before. He'd woken up to a searing pain and found the cuts on his body. We arrived at the nursing home within the hour. The nurse at the front desk greeted James by name, saying how happy his mother would be to see him. James led us down a hallway and opened a door. An old woman was sitting in an armchair, staring out the window. She didn't look up when we entered the room, although James went to her side, knelt down, and took her hand. "Hey, Mom," he said softly. "It's me, your son. It's James." The woman didn't even turn her head. Ryan and I hung back, unsure if we should say anything. James tried another approach. He began humming a tune. That must be the lullaby she sang to him as a child. To my surprise, his mother stirred. James' eyes lit up. His mother opened her mouth and, so quietly I could barely hear her, said, "Good boy. Sing for me. It will keep you safe." Without thinking, I ran forward and said, "Safe from what?" James' mother snapped her head towards me, looking me dead in the eyes. She raised a hand as if to shield her face from a bright light and shouted, "Get away from my son." "Mom," James said. I thought he might reprimand his mother for her outburst or explain our presence, but he just gazed at her in adoration. "You spoke." She wasn't done speaking. "Stay away from my boy. He has enough troubles." She looked at Ryan now. "Keep that beacon away." Beacon? What did that mean? Was she referring to me? My face burned, and I felt out of place in this room, with a hostile mother and a son who had all but forgotten Ryan and I were even there. Ryan coldly said, "I don't think we're wanted here." He guided me out of the room. My last glimpse was of James as he curled up in his frail mother's arms like he was a child again. His mother was singing and stroking his hair. I wondered if we should be leaving James like this, but he didn't try to stop us. I hoped the song, his mother's lullaby, would be enough to keep what was hunting him at bay. I wished I knew a way to keep my demons away. The word beacon rang in my ears. What did she mean? As Ryan and I drove out of the city, we stopped outside my brother's house. Their curtains were open, and I could see Sam at the kitchen window eating a snack. I couldn't bring myself to get out of the car and knock on the door. If you love him, don't get him involved. I texted Sam, "Don't think I'll make it after all. Sorry. Love you." Through the window, I saw him pick up his phone and read the screen. His shoulders sagged a little, and I thought I could make out a sad frown. Poor kid. I just wanted to wrap my arms around him. My phone buzzed. "It's cool. See you another time." As we drove away, I kept my eyes on my brother until we were out of sight. I didn't know when I'd see him again.